I'm from a village in Scotland.
Yeah.
What pathway takes you from Prestwick to Alexandria in a funeral when I'm the only Caucasian guy there with 200 villagers? I had somebody that asked me to procure an elephant for him at a wedding.
My God.
Oh my goodness.
Fair enough.
And it was an outdoor wedding, thankfully. Most 5-star hotels have great suites. And they've got beautiful chandeliers, and they've got plush carpets and beautiful lighting engineers and fabrics and things like that. But if you don't make people feel right, then it all looks the same, doesn't it? I've noticed a lot about working in foreign countries is that we still have a problem in this country in attracting younger people into hospitality. If I walked into a kitchen here and heard a chef shouting at a commie waiter, it would be the last day he worked here.
Yeah.
We just won't tolerate it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't need to be like that. The best leaders have the best followers.
Yeah.
And you can only get a follower if you act with integrity, you act with trust, you give people a voice. I would like everybody to walk into this hotel and immediately feel comfortable. And if you come in feeling miserable and you leave feeling happy, we've done our job.
Welcome to the Sweet Talk podcast by the Hotel Magazine. From leading landmark hotels through changing markets to shaping teams that thrive under pressure. Today's guest is someone who truly understands what it means to be a modern hotelier. With decades of experience across luxury and premium hospitality, he's known for combining commercial instinct with a deep commitment to guest experience, culture, and long-term growth. His leadership style is grounded, people first, and driven by a belief that great hotels are built by great teams. Beyond the boardroom, his impact reaches even further. He's actively involved in charitable work, supporting causes that focus on community development, well-being, and opportunity for young people, using his platform not just to grow businesses, but to give back in meaningful ways. It's this blend of strategic leadership, human connection, and social responsibility that truly set him apart. We're thrilled to welcome Fergus Stewart, Chief Executive Officer at the Lancaster Landmark Hotel Company, to Sweet Talk. Fergus, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
I think a really good place to start for our listeners and viewers is to kind of look back where it all began. So looking back at your childhood, what early experiences do you think shaped kind of who you are as a person today?
I think, as with a lot of people, my parents. So my parents we were from a middle-class family. We weren't particularly well off and we weren't particularly poor. But I think my father instilled in me a work ethic which stays with me to this day. My mother and father both worked. My mother was a physiotherapist. My father was a financial accountant. And he moved around the country quite a bit. And as a family, we moved. So I was born in Glasgow, then we lived in Prestwick, moved to Harrogate, then we moved to Dundee, then back to Harrogate. So as a boy, I went through many changes. But as I say, my father particularly was a very hard-working guy. So when I was 12 years old, he encouraged me to take a paper round, at weekends. And when I was 14, I would work in a hotel washing dishes. But he encouraged me to do these things, not just to have my own money, but to have my own independence.
Yeah.
But it did create that work ethic within me, which I think has stayed with me for my whole life, to be honest with you, and a bit of resilience.
Yeah, definitely.
When you're 12 years old and you're getting up to get on your bike, I mean, it sounds like Victorian times. It wasn't that long ago. But when you're that age and it's snowing, and you're still trying to deliver papers to people, because you've got a responsibility, it teaches you quite a lot from an early age.
Yeah, definitely.
I suppose it sets foundations early for what's to come, basically.
What's to come, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So before you kind of got your foot in the door with hospitality, did you think there was a particular career path you were going to go down, or did you always know? I
was certain I was going to be a footballer. Like everybody else, every other young boy at that time.
I've been there.
So sport, you've been there, yes. We all want to be. I wanted to be a footballer for Glasgow Rangers, but I would have been a footballer for any other side as well.
Yeah.
So I was quite good at sport at school. I really didn't enjoy school, but I loved sport at school. So I would play rugby on a Saturday morning for the school, and I'd play football in the afternoon. And I signed to play for Harrogate Town.
Nice.
Which was, a semi-professional club at that time. And I only played a few games for them, but I also was playing football for Yorkshire schoolboys. So I thought there was a chance that I would get on and do that. And that was all that was in my mind. But you sort of get to 16 and you realise that, listen, I'm playing in a team and I think I'm pretty good, but there's quite a few guys that are quite a bit better than I am. And there was a reckoning then. I thought, listen, I'm still going to play, but this is not going to be my career. And at that time, like I said, I was working part-time in hotels. And we were living in Harrogate at that time, which is an old spa town. So if you wanted a part-time job, that's what you did. So thankfully, my father knocked some sense into me and said, look, if you can continue to play football, but you need a backup. And so I went to study hotel management in Leeds for 4 years.
Okay.
Amazing.
So I know that we've kind of touched on it already, a bit about your first job, obviously having your paper round and working in a hotel at the weekends. So what do you think that taught you about people, having that kind of employment from a young age, I suppose?
I think it teaches you, we talked about resilience. We talked about responsibility. You know, it's only delivering papers, but people are wanting to get their paper. I mean, nobody gets papers delivered now. But it's something which you've got a responsibility to do, and somebody's paying you to do that. And it would have been easier to turn over in bed and not want to get up when it's raining or when it's snowing. But it teaches you you've committed to doing something, so you need to follow it through. You can't just, and I do see people today that do lack a little bit of resilience and a little bit of accountability and a little bit of responsibility. And I think even having a paper round or washing dishes at the weekend, it gives you those three things. It gives you a bit of resilience, a bit of accountability, and responsibility.
Sure.
You've committed to it, so see it through. I've never really seen it as a hard job. I've always seen it as quite fun.
Yeah.
And even when I was working in, washing dishes and stuff, and there was a time that I got a promotion that I would deliver bags to rooms, and Harrogate being a spa town, we had a lot of coach tours, and myself and my fellow hall porter would, we'd have 30 bags each, so we had to deliver, and there was no lifts, and we're running upstairs with them.
Yeah.
But it was fun, and it was to see who would deliver the 30 bags first and be back down in the lobby.
Yeah.
I never saw it as something that was a hard task, because when you work in this industry and you're coming into a hotel, unless you're coming in to get fired or you're coming in to attend a funeral, you're coming in to have a good time.
To have fun, yeah, so exactly, yeah.
I work in the fun business, and it's my job and my colleagues' jobs and the people we work with to create that environment that gives you a great experience. So we're trying to make you happy, and we're trying to make you smile.
Yeah. Who have been kind of the most influential mentors in your life, and what's one lesson that still guides you? Would you say it is kind of being thrown in and, your paper round, or is there other mentors that you have that have kind of helped you?
I think I've had several mentors. And I'm probably still looking for mentors, because you're always looking for different ways of doing things and seeing things. I was the assistant food and beverage manager at the Grosvenor House when I was 23, which I would struggle to give somebody at that age that sort of responsibility now, and I don't know what's changed. And I had a general manager called George Westwell, and he created a team which to this day are still in a WhatsApp group.
Right, okay, nice.
And that's years and years ago. That's in the mid-80s to the late 80s. And he used to say to me, Fergus, and I was 22 or 23 years old, and he gave me a sum of money, and I think it was £100, because it seemed a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
And he said, Fergus, I want you to go out tonight and take your girlfriend, or take somebody else's girlfriend, or take your partner, whatever you want to do, or take your best mate. I want you to go out and I want you to a restaurant, and I'd like you to spend all £100. And when you come back tomorrow morning in front of the management team, I want you to tell me the 5 best things about that experience. He goes, but if you come back and tell me one bad thing about the experience, I'm not going to give you £100 again. He says, I only want you to go in there and tell me the positives, and come back and tell the team the positives about your experience. And then I want you to introduce 2 of those 5 things into this hotel.
Nice.
And I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
Have you used that one since?
I have used it since.
Yeah, okay, nice.
I've used it 3 or 4 times since. When I was overseas, I used it. But that taught me trust with him, that he's prepared to give me this sum of money. And it might not have been 100, but it was certainly more than enough for everything I wanted to eat and drink. And I was able to take a friend with me.
Yeah.
And then we discuss it. And then to come back and then tell the management team, and I was the youngest in that team.
Yeah.
But he'd given me that that trust.
It
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've probably got another. I mean, I've got in my current boss, really, Brian Ladnick is somebody that I've worked with for 30 years.
Yeah.
We worked together in Singapore. He was the general manager and I was the food and beverage director. And he's somebody throughout my career, and we now work together again. But I think it's always good to have somebody that you can pick up the phone to
Yeah.
Yeah.
and say, listen, what do
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want you to tell me the answer, but I want you to lean on and say, should I make this move? Should I not? I've got this issue with somebody. How would you deal with it? I think it's great to have somebody to just bounce some ideas off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think however successful someone is, it's always great to have a bit of a soundboard in
Yeah.
someone else. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Fergus, we know that you've obviously had an incredible career in hospitality so far. So has there been a real hard moment in your career that you think has changed your outlook on things?
I was working in Sharm el-Sheikh and we had a chef called Mustafa. And I was talking earlier about you give £100. So Sharm el-Sheikh Egyptians, they don't earn a lot of money. But he was our pastry chef and he was so enthusiastic. He was always trying new things. And he used to deliver loaves of bread. And I was living in the hotel with my family and he would deliver loaves of bread to me. And then he'd put smoked salmon inside these loaves of bread. Or he'd put chocolate and he'd create things and do wonderful things. And he had saved up all of his money to go to Paris, which for an Egyptian at that time, and we were paying them very huge wages for Egypt, but very small wages if you want to go to Paris. But I then gave him a sum of money and I said, look, if you're going to Paris, I want you to go and find the best pain au chocolat and the best croissant. I said, so go around, wherever you want to go in Paris, here's a sum of money, which would have bought him a lot of croissants. And I want you to come back and then copy that recipe and make us the best croissant. Anyway, I was in the hotel one evening and I got a phone call and I said, is Mustafa in the hotel? And I said, well, it must be, you can't be anywhere else. Well, there's been a bomb in Dahab. And Dahab was a place near Sharm el-Sheikh. And we think Mustafa's in the bomb. And I said, it's impossible. You know, he'd be here with us. And I said, well, we found his identity card. And I said, can't be possible. Anyway, it transpired that he had gone to Dahab and there was a terrorist bomb with Al-Qaeda and he'd been blown up. And I get emotional about it now. And I had to take his body back in a coffin from Sharm el-Sheikh to Alexandria to return the body to his parents. And I chose to do that, but I was guided on it. And I said, look, what do I do? And he said, look, he comes from a very, very poor family. And I said, well, I just need to dress. He said, no, you need to turn up in a limousine and you need to turn up with your best suit on because you need to demonstrate to his family what sort of environment and what sort of workplace and what he had achieved.
What he'd done, yeah.
In his career. So I did that and I went back with our HR director and we drove in the car with the coffin in it and through the desert and everything else to Alexandria, and we turned up there and all of the women of the house were in a barn outside with straw on the floor and animals around because they weren't allowed into the reception where the funeral was taking place. And I was ushered to the front and there was about 200 people from the village in this tent. And there was one man standing at the front and it was his father. And I was told to go and sit next to his father. And these people had no money, very, very poor. But his son was the pride of the village.
Yeah, he must have been really proud.
He had come out of this village and made himself a fantastic career as a pastry chef and had been to Paris. And I don't know what he was doing in Dahab. Nobody to this day knows what he was doing there. But he was just such an inspirational guy. And like I say, it makes me emotional now because to be with his father, and his father hugged me so tight.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't let go of me.
Yeah.
And I had to sort of try and pull away from it.
Yeah.
And I just thought at that moment, you think about your career. I'm from a village in Scotland. I'm from Glasgow, but I lived in Prestwick, which is a small village.
Yeah.
What pathway takes you from Prestwick to Alexandria in a funeral when I'm the only Caucasian guy there with 200 villagers dressed with nothing?
It puts everything into perspective.
Into
Stories
perspective.
like that, like why hospitality should be fun, because
Yes.
life is short and terrible things happen.
Terrible things happen.
It is about kind of lifting people in hospitality.
Yeah. But he was an inspirational guy, and he was inspirational to my kids. And I remember returning from the funeral, and one of his loaves was still in my fridge, and I didn't know what to do with it. Do you eat it? Do you throw it out? But he taught me a lot, because he was somebody that had managed to create a career for himself from nothing.
Yeah.
And be proud of his village. And his parents were so proud of him. And I'd obviously had an impact on him because of the thing that I did for him in Paris.
Yeah.
But he was an inspirational guy that started with nothing, which stays in my mind throughout my career.
Yeah.
And it's all about being humble. And we're very, very lucky to sit in this beautiful suite.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky to have traveled the world and stayed in beautiful hotels. But without that humbleness, you soon get found out.
Yeah.
And I think he taught me something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which has stuck with me.
Tough one to follow. How do you personally define great hospitality beyond kind of the usual language used in the industry?
I think it's about how you make people feel.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're sitting in this stunning suite. And most 5-star hotels have great suites. And they've got beautiful chandeliers, and they've got plush carpets, and beautiful lighting engineers and fabrics and things like that. But if you don't make people feel right, then it all looks the same, doesn't it? I mean, I spent quite a lot of time in Dubai, and I think all of those hotels in Dubai now look the same. I worked with Jumeirah for quite a time when I was out there with IHG. Whatever hotel I walk into in Dubai now, yes, they are different, but they all feel the same. And the service, unfortunately, feels the same. But I think if you can get a group of people together that provide service that is personal to you,
that's what adds that extra.
It adds that extra
factor.
Yeah, and if they're intuitive, and if they anticipate your needs, and of course everything has to be clean, and of course if you're paying a particular room rate, you expect a beautiful, comfortable sofa and a great bed and a wonderful shower. You want all these are things which should come naturally, but service doesn't come naturally, and you've got to make sure that the people that work with us are empowered, are given a lot of rope to make decisions. We talk about here about only saying yes. If you can get a group of people, and your job today is only to say yes to everything, and there's things you can't say yes to, but if that's the mindset that we're just going to say yes, because our job is to make people feel great. That's the most important thing. So it's about how I make you feel.
Yeah.
It's not about what you see and feel and touch. But it's about how I make you feel. If you walk out of there going, that was great.
Yeah.
I've been to restaurants, as I'm sure you have, where the food is very good. It's not world class, but I felt great because the service was so good. The ambience was so good. It created the conversations I had with the guests I was with. That's much better than going to a 3-star Michelin restaurant and having world class food, but not coming out of it feeling great.
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
What parts of your role today kind of come the most natural to you? And I guess, is there parts that you still find challenging?
I think you evolve over time, and things that I find easier now, I didn't find easier a long time ago. I think the bit I find easier now is probably in the communication. But that comes with a few grey hairs, a lot of grey hairs. It comes with experience. It comes with learning from your mistakes. I think the communication bit I find quite easier now, and I can adapt to different environments because of my experience. I worked in 11 different countries, so I've got experience from 11 different cultures. So for me to adapt now to the culture in London, where we've got, I think, 50 or 60 nationalities working here, I find that quite easy.
Yeah.
Not easy is the wrong word, but I find I can adapt very quickly in my communication style and how I communicate with different people and trying to get the best out of people.
Yeah.
The thing about leadership is, as I mentioned earlier, you need to have followers. And you can't get followers if you're providing the answers all the time. And I think it's a danger from a lot of leaders that you know what the outcome should be, but to get from A to B, you've got to go through the loops a little bit.
Because I know from speaking to you last time, you like to be heavily involved in your team. And
Yeah, I was going to say that, kind of jumping in a bit about you say that communication comes easy to you. You've spoken to us previously about your kind of communication style. Can you just elaborate on that?
I think you need to involve everybody. And the only time you're going to get a good outcome is if everybody's on board. So we spend a lot of time discussing things. I think in my early career, I would want to jump to an answer and I would direct people with that. I would say, look, this is what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work. It works once or twice, but people soon get fed up with it. You need to bring people on the journey. And if you're letting them find the solution and then supporting their solution and letting them implement their solution, you'll get a far better outcome. Mm. I think in my earlier career, I was too quick to jump to those conclusions. And it was my way. Yeah. And I think the younger leaders still think about it as it being their way. Leadership is not about command and control. And I think in my earlier career, I thought it was. Yeah. That I'm going to tell people what to do. And you don't get a lot of coaching and training in that at that point, because I've seen people that we've promoted and their whole persona changes after their promotion. And the reason you got promoted was because of how well you were doing the things you were doing. Yeah. And that's what we liked about you. And then we promote them and I watch them from afar and I'm thinking, whoa, you're now raising your voice at people. You're now pointing, you're now directing. We want you to encourage and support. And it's quite interesting watching people's behaviours change when that happens.
Obviously, we've mentioned it. You're extremely well travelled. You've been to many different countries. What are some of the most kind of poignant stories from your time working abroad, and what do you feel has kind of impacted you in your role today?
I've noticed a lot about working in foreign countries is that we still have a problem in this country in attracting younger people into hospitality. I'm sure when I told my father and my mother, like, listen, I'm going into hospitality, they would have hoped maybe that I would think of something else. I think they were glad, thank God he's not saying he's going to be a footballer anymore. He's now going to go
stop banging that drum.
He's now going to go and get a proper job. I think there's still parents today that think, oh, I'd rather my son took up something else or my daughter took up something else rather than hospitality. In other countries that I've worked in, hospitality is a brilliant job. And I think it's a brilliant job. And I think there are people now that are beginning to understand that it's a brilliant job. It's a fantastic career. You're meeting people all the time. You're traveling, you're seeing things, you're making people feel good.
Why do you think there is that perception here with hospitality? Because we've spoken about this many times. It does feel like it's not, during school and growing up, I was never pushed towards hospitality. There was kind of lots of different vacations, but it seemed like hospitality was never something they pushed as a real career. People seem to see it as a bit of a job to fill a gap. And why do you think that is?
I think a lot of parents wouldn't want their children to go into it because they've seen the bullying and the aggressive behaviour by certain individuals that have made money from being like that. Yeah. And it's wrong. It's completely wrong. And I've worked in environments where people are shouting and screaming and people are made to feel terrible. When I've worked overseas, I've always found these countries, particularly take Japan, for example, people see it as a vocation, as a career. I mean, people are waiters as a career. If you go to some parts of Europe, Italy and France, sometimes it's a career to be a waiter and it's a good job. We tend to think, well, it's my job until I find something better. Yeah. I remember being in Tokyo and we'd brought Pierre Gagnère, the chef, in, and Pierre's a 3-star Michelin chef. And I'd been recently in the UK and had been involved with chefs that are shouting and screaming and restaurant managers shouting and screaming. And I mean, I hate it when I see it. And like I say, people make television documentaries on it, and I hate it. And we all know who we're referring to, but it's just wrong. And I went to Tokyo and we brought Pierre Gagnère, 3-star Michelin chef, one of the top chefs in the world. And we brought him in to put him in a restaurant on top of the Intercontinental in Tokyo. And I really enjoyed working with Pierre. He's an eccentric, he's a scientist, his hair comes out to the side, but his food is unbelievable. And I would stand in the kitchen when he was there, and he would come maybe 1 week every 3 months or something like that. And that kitchen was silent, completely silent. And all you heard was the pans on the stove. That was it. And then you heard the sous chef talking. But there was none of this shouting and wailing and screaming. He was conducting an orchestra.
Yeah.
And you almost saw his hands move. And he was nodding and waving at people, and they were nodding silence. And yet he's producing absolutely world-class food. So how can that happen in Japan when they're cooking French food and they're Japanese?
Yeah.
So they've got to learn that as well. How can it happen in Japan, whereas in our kitchens and in our restaurants, it's not like that?
Yeah.
And it taught me something that it is possible.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about it here. If I walked into a kitchen here and heard a chef shouting at a commie waiter, it would be the last day he worked here. We just won't tolerate it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't need to be like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the problem with our industry is. It's still
got that stigma
that stigma
Yeah.
about it. And we need to stop it.
Yeah. Because I know there's a lot of people, a lot of kind of well-known people in the industry that are doing a lot to try and help change that perception. And it is difficult to change people's ideas on what has been in place for so long.
But it became almost fashionable. But if we're wanting parents to encourage their kids to go into hospitality,
Absolutely right.
and we're
Yeah.
accepting that behaviour, there's something far wrong.
Yeah. Well, this leads on kind of nicely from that then. I'd like to know what you think is a common kind of misconception that people think about leadership in hospitality.
As I mentioned, this command and control thing.
Yeah.
That I'm in hospitality, I need to be directive all the time. I need to be telling people what to do. And that's not right. And I think it was in the past. It was maybe there was a time in our lives that was acceptable. It's not now. We need to be encouraging leaders to take risks. We need to be encouraging leaders to be involved, encouraging people to listen to the people that they're working with, and being part of the solution, not being the solution, but getting a group of people together and encouraging followers. I mentioned the best leaders have the best followers.
Yeah.
And you can only get a follower if you act with integrity, you act with trust, you give people a voice. Be a leader in the hospitality industry today, and people won't accept it.
Yeah.
I mean, the young people entering the industry and the people that are in the industry have changed as well. With Gen X and Gen Y and Gen everything else, it's changed. And we need to adapt. More senior leaders and more older leaders need to adapt to that now. Otherwise, you'll fail.
So I'm here with one of our amazing partners, Agilicis, speaking with Duncan Osborne. Duncan, thanks for joining us here at the Landmark in the lovely suites.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. Fabulous hotel.
Obviously, you guys are experts in technology. How do you see tech changing the guest experience?
It could be a very long answer. I'll try and keep it short. But we obviously are. We're experts in technology and hospitality and have been for 20, 30 years. The guest experience changes so frequently. And right now, I think guests are getting a bit fed up of receiving generic emails, the email noise, or not just email, but this whole sort of digital noise that people get. I receive emails about a hotel I stayed in, and they're generic about, do you want to book a certain rate over a certain weekend? And you just delete it. And I think people are much more looking for that experience where they're getting a real personal note sent through to them that actually really is relevant to them as a person. So we as hoteliers need to really make sure that we understand what our guests are into. Need to make sure that you're not sending an email about adults only dinner experiences, for example, when you know that people have got young children. Yes, it might be great to get away from the young children, but actually, if you're like me, your weekend experiences are very much family orientated. So you want to be able to go to a family hotel. Likewise, if you're dealing with someone who's very into golf, which you and I both are, then you want to have stuff sent through to you that's relevant to boys' weekends away, staying in a nice hotel, but you've got a full experience of 4-ball and playing a proper round of golf at a really nice course. So you want to get the stuff that's really relevant to you as well. I know my wife's experiences are very different. She wants to receive spa stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But she also wants to know about beach resorts and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I think we just have to make sure that the correct messages are getting to the correct people at the correct time as well. So timing's really important about it. So you can't just send a Christmas email out in March.
Yeah.
For example, you've got to be pretty sensible and savvy about when that goes out to your customer set.
Yeah.
And that word of mouth also goes from people as well. So you need to sort of almost understand who those people are hanging out with, and what their particular reach is as well. So
Sure.
it's quite a scientific process, but with the correct technology supporting you behind that, what you get is really good guest profile knowledge.
Sure. So it's that, that data you have, or that profile of a guest that you can then use to essentially offer them the right options at the right time.
Yes, for sure. And you want to be able to, you have to understand people have different needs at different times of the year and different types of needs as well. So if you want to make the maximum revenue out of your individual guests, you need to know as much as possible. So the more knowledge you have of that guest, the better it is. But it's about using that knowledge properly. So, digital marketing is great, but when it's used properly. So to have the correct digital marketing package underneath what you're doing and messaging out to your guests is hugely important. And in fact, I'd say it's vital.
So, it's always worth chatting to experts like yourself when it comes to tech stack and understanding, guest profiles and how we can maximize, each and every guest that comes through our doors, essentially.
We're here to make money. But doing that in the right way is the best way to do it. To have the guests returning and spending more money with you is probably the biggest thing that we're all looking for. So to have that sort of technology support, beg your pardon, underneath, all of that will make it the whole sort of journey so much more seamless for yourselves and for the guest as well.
100%. Duncan, thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Having the opportunity to work in different countries and you see different cultures and you have to adapt to those different cultures. I was in Tokyo in 2011 and there was a huge earthquake. And the earthquake was devastating. It knocked down villages. It killed a lot of people. But it wasn't just the earthquake. There was a tsunami. And the tsunami came and knocked out the nuclear reactor in Fukushima.
Yes, I remember this.
And they talked about a nuclear cloud coming over the city. So it was terrible. And everybody was trying to leave the city. And every day you saw news broadcast about this wave coming over and knocking it. They were finding fishing boats a mile inland.
Wow.
Such was the power of the tidal wave. And everybody was trying to get out of the country. And I couldn't get out of the country because I had a responsibility. I was managing the hotel and managing the people. And we had 1,000 employees in this hotel. It had 800 bedrooms, 16 restaurants, 36 function rooms. And there was 1,000 people. And we were trying to see how we could get food, how we could provide support to these villages, what we could do. I remember the earthquake happening. I'm in my office and my secretary starts screaming. And she says, "Get under the desk." And I'm going, and I'm looking out the window, and in Tokyo, the buildings they're either on springs or they're on rollers, and they're all high rise. So I'm looking at this surreal situation where some buildings are going up and down, and some buildings are going side to side. And I'm watching this thinking they've got to fall down. And I was in a building that I think was 40 stories, and my office was in the 15th. And for some crazy reason, I thought I'm going to be safe because the building will snap in the middle. Right.
And fall off.
And I'm in the lower half, so I'll be all right.
Yeah.
And this is going through your mind. You're not sure. And my secretary's screaming, "You've got to get under the desk." And I didn't. I looked out, and when I looked out my office, 2 floors down, we had a Japanese restaurant with a pond. And in the pond was these carp. And when I took the job, the owner said to me, "Whatever you do not destroy these carp. You make sure you look after them because they're valued at $10,000 each."
Yeah.
Because the carp were ancient carps. Carp and koi, these Japanese fish. And I'm looking out the window and all I can see is these fish out of the water and they're flapping around outside the pond because the movement of the building has created a tidal wave in the pond. And these carp are, I'm thinking, "Oh my God." And I'm shouting to my secretary, "We've got to get the fish back." And she's saying, "You've got to get under the desk." Right? And all I'm thinking about is these fish. But the point of the story is about different cultures and different people. 2 days after this, I had to get all the team together. And some of these people's houses are damaged and relatives have gone missing and family members, they're not sure. But I got these people in our biggest function room and I got about 1,000 people and everybody came in. And I said to them, "I understand going forward, this is going to be difficult for you because there's no public transport or there's limited public transport. Some of your relatives live in these areas that have been devastated. If you can't come to work tomorrow, you don't need to come to work. You'll still get paid. We'll still look after you. Your job is still safe, but don't come. If for any reason you can't come, don't come." And the next day, everybody came to work.
Wow.
That's astonishing.
Speaks volumes.
Because I think if you did that in other countries, maybe this country, and you said, "You don't need to come to work tomorrow and I will pay you and I'll keep your job secure," 50% might not turn up. But in that environment, everybody had this responsibility
Some mentality.
and the mentality and the resilience and the character saying, no, I've got these problems, but this is my job.
Yeah.
And this is what we need to find a way of imparting into people in this country
Yeah.
about hospitality being this phenomenal career
Yeah.
that can give you umpteen opportunities, but you have to have that passion and
Yeah. Yeah.
desire. And those people in Japan had that. And they had this, I don't care what I did, this is my job. I have a responsibility to do this.
Yeah.
And it stayed with me for the rest of my life.
Can you please just tell me, were the fish okay?
The fish were okay.
They were.
Because I wasn't the only one worried about the fish. Because 5 minutes later, there was a Japanese gentleman out there putting the fish into a bucket with water.
Oh, brilliant.
So the building's going like this, but he's only caring about the fish.
Yeah. So you weren't the only one that
Oh, no,
just had eyes
everybody
on
was
the
worried
fish.
about the fish.
Amazing. So outside of work, what kind of things do you do to kind of reset and recharge?
So I've definitely become my father. I now play golf.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Which everybody says is an old man's sport, but it's not.
No,
So
I
I
disagree.
play golf on Saturday.
I'm too into golf. Ask my wife. She's
I'm the same.
she's sick of it.
Yeah, I read about golf. I watch golf. I play golf. I played golf on Saturday, and the weather wasn't great. But I'm outside. I'm with 3 other mates, and we're playing. And we're talking about life. But nobody's saying, what was it like in the hotel this week? They're talking about something that's happened.
Yeah.
And we're joking.
Yeah.
And we're taking the mickey out of each other.
Yeah.
And we're laughing when something happens.
Yeah.
And I had 4 hours of complete
Yeah. It is a release.
de-stress.
Yeah.
And we're talking about football. And it's just fun. Once a year, I've got a group of guys and we like to go and do something. So last year we did the Cresta Run, which is the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. And we've all turned 60. I think that's part of the problem. We've turned 60. So I did the Cresta Run, and they give you very limited training because you can't get training to go down an ice tube on a tray, and you're doing 60 miles an hour head first. And
I remember we were speaking about it last time, actually.
And I was scared
So we're
for
quite
you.
lucky to have you still
here.
Still here. And
it's the scariest thing I've ever done. They teach you, there's a thing called shuttle. It's in Samoritz, and you go in there, and the tray is 6 inches off the ground, and you're head first, and you go around these bends, and they say if you can get to shuttlecock, which is the one that goes up and round, you're fine.
Yeah.
So the first time I did it, I got through shuttlecock, and I thought, oh, thank God for that. I'm safe. And then it's just a straight downhill slope.
Yeah.
And you're terrified. I mean, I've never been scareder in my life.
Yeah.
And I came off, and you're going to pick up your sledge, and I can't breathe. and I'm panting. And I realised that I'd held my breath in for 60 seconds.
Oh, really?
I've never done anything more scared.
Amazing.
Well, that's one way to recharge.
Yeah, that's it.
This year we're planning, and somebody's come up with this thing that you can go to India and you can rent a 3-man rickshaw.
Oh, gosh.
okay.
Yeah.
And they give you a spanner and a map.
Right.
And they give you a week to get from one side of India to the other.
Oh, my God.
Wow, like
So
that race across the world.
It's like that. So
Wow.
there's 6 of us planning and doing it.
Fergus, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what do you think it would be?
I think I was always in a rush to do the next thing. And I was always fortunate because I always put myself in that position to be ready for a promotion, be ready to move country. Like I said, I went through 11 countries. I've been in Spain, I've been in Egypt, I've been in Thailand, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, Dubai. And I usually move within the same company. But I was always in a bit of a rush to get to the next thing. And I think I could have stepped back a little bit and breathe it in and see it. When I was in Egypt, I always told people to go and visit St. Catherine's Monument, where Moses and the 10 Commandments, every guest that came in there, if said, what should I do? You have to do that. I never did it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
You just don't get round
You don't
to
get
it.
round to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when you have the opportunity to be in these countries and learn about their cultures, you should.
You need to step back and
Step
take the
back
time
And
to
take your own advice on board.
And take your advice and try and understand a bit more and try and understand more of the language.
Yeah. I think it's one of them things as well. When you look back, you don't remember what you did instead.
It's a bit autopilot, isn't it? You're kind of used to doing something.
It's autopilot. Yeah, it's a great word because you're sort of just working.
Yeah.
And you're taking time off as well, don't get me wrong. But you're working and you're focused on what's next instead of
Remember to take
embracing
that
what's
step
now.
back. Yeah.
think about what am I doing now? Embrace it, breathe it in, suck it in, and do that. I always felt I was in a bit of a rush, which I think I've changed in my management style, actually, because then it was all about getting to the solution.
Okay.
I think I'm far more patient now. People that work with me
There's
won't
a
say I am.
process that you enjoy the process. I'm the same. I'm in a rush.
I'm in a rush.
I probably could use some of your advice, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just calm down.
It's taken me a long time to get to that stage where I'm not in a rush.
Maybe you two need a game of golf and just talk it through.
Talk it through. Exactly.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
When people look back at your career, Fergus, what do you hope that they will say about you, not just as a professional, but as a person as well?
I would like to think that I wasn't a conformist. I think I'd like to say that he did take some risks. And you do take risks. If you move your family around the world, you're taking a risk every time. But I'd like to think that we took some risks in business as well. I'd like to think that I was a person of integrity, but I'd like to think that I gave people opportunities, like I got opportunities, in that I identified some people and gave them a step up that got them on a ladder that pushed their careers forward. We've got some young people working here that we've taken a bit of a chance on. And I don't know if they would get a chance in other London luxury 5-star hotels. I come from Glasgow. My assistant comes from Croydon. Our number 3 comes from the town in Ireland. Not all of these people went through the Swiss Hotel School
Yeah.
in Lausanne. We've got a young man that works in a restaurant from Bolton that's got a very strong accent from Bolton. He might not have got that opportunity in some other London 5-star properties.
Yeah.
Right.
So I like to give those people an opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's important to me because I had opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's up to them to take it, isn't it?
It's up to them to take it. And if they don't take it, that's
And I
theirs.
take it over the years, you've probably found some gems.
When I joined here, I joined straight after COVID. And we were talking about opening the hotel. I said, you have to open everything. It will cost money, but you've got to open everything. Open every restaurant, open the spa, open room service, fill the mini bars, open 300 rooms. And I think my boss was saying, really? That will be... I said, do it. Because other hotels won't. And most hotels didn't. They opened one restaurant. They didn't provide room service. They had 2 floors shut and 1 floor open. And I thought that was crazy. I said, because if you're still charging the same rates, your guest wants the same experience. And I thought that helped us immensely. And our business picked up very, very quickly after that. Because people realised they're open for business. And we're not going to charge you the same and give you less. We're going to charge the same and hopefully give you more.
Yeah.
But it was a risk.
I think
So
that's brilliant.
I would hope they would think he was a guy that took some risk.
Yeah.
You do an awful lot with the charity, Deborah. Tell us a little bit more about the charity, what's inspired you and the work that you do with Deborah.
A number of years ago, we were involved in a lot of charities. And when we analysed it, and we were given to the traditional charities. And we've got a great team here that like to do stuff for charity, but our money was going into things that we didn't know where it was going. And there wasn't a lot of feedback. We'd give £10,000 to one of the main charities and we'd get a certificate back, but there was no involvement. And I was introduced to Deborah by Graham Souness, who is my sporting idol. So I had a chance to meet him and then I was talking to him and he had said that he has had a lot of opportunities to do charities, but he only does work for Deborah now, everything he does. And he told me about the charity and then he introduced me to people involved in the charity. And these are for kids that are born with a skin defect. Their skin peels off and leaves their body and they're in constant pain. And I met some of these kids and it was life-changing for me in that respect because I've never seen such a cruel charity. It's such a cruel disease that only impacts children. And the skin doesn't peel off from inside, from inside as well. So the skin comes off the inside of their throats. So they can't eat. And we decided that we would take on board this charity and we would not, everything we would do would be for this charity. And what they do is they come and visit us and they tell us every month what they're doing with our money. I'm meeting them this afternoon. There's a gentleman here this afternoon. They tell us what they're doing. We managed to get, so they came and presented to all of our team. And what we found is we've got 300 employees in this hotel, 300 in the Royal Lancaster, we'll have 200 in the Hotel Indigo. They're all embracing Deborah. And so our team do many, many different things all the time. On Friday, there was a bacon sandwich sale, which somebody was making bacon sandwiches and the proceeds go to Deborah. There's bingo nights. We've got our director of food and beverage, Cedric, who's running 2 marathons back to back in Jordan through the desert in April, which is phenomenal. And he's never done 1 marathon, but he's doing back to back marathons, one on a
Fair
Tuesday, one
play
on a
to
Wednesday.
Cedric. Shout out to him.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Cedric.
wow.
He's fantastic. So he's doing it for Deborah.
Yeah.
So every week we've got something. We have jumble sales, we have clothes sales, we have anything you can think of, and we raise money for Deborah. And once a month we have a family that will come and visit us. Because this thing is so traumatic for the child involved, it's traumatic for the parents.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's traumatic for their siblings, their brothers and sisters that haven't had holidays because they couldn't go. Isla comes and stays with us regularly for her operations. She's at 80 or 90 operations.
Wow.
So, but when she was coming, she lives in Inverness. When she was coming, they were staying in, I don't know, not anything like here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's nice to
We
put a
can
smile on
make-
people's
Yeah.
faces. And
Her journey less painful by
Yeah.
coming here
Yeah.
and staying in a nice room and having,
Makes it a different kind
It
of
makes it different.
experience than if she's coming to London
Yeah.
for a hospital
But
appointment.
once a month, we have a family that we invite, and the family comes and stays in the hotel. The parents, the siblings, the child that's affected with this, and they all come and they have a great meal in the restaurant. We get them tickets for Madame Tussauds, or we send them to the theatre, and we just give them a fabulous weekend. And it stays with them. For us, it's so easy, and it costs nothing. But for them, it's something that they will remember for their lives. I think for our team, it's great.
yeah.
Because they're, and for me, it's fantastic because I did give them this idea, but for them to embrace it and then run with it, far greater than I thought they ever would. But they're all so behind it. Everything we do is for Deborah. And to see the pride that our team get out of doing things, to see the family's faces, to see Isla when she's coming in for an operation but smiling,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
We've got a little bit of a tradition on the podcast, so we get guests to leave a question for future guests. So I'd love to know what question you would like to leave for a future guest on the podcast. It can be anything.
So if you had an unlimited budget, what project would you undertake?
Oh, I like that.
Or if you were a cocktail, what would you be?
Okay.
Nice.
What are your answers to both of them?
Curveball.
If I was a cocktail, I'd be a Negroni.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love
Why
that.
Which
though?
I think it's quite strong, but there's a mellowness to it. It's Campari gin and vodka, but it's not just hard spirits. There's a softness to it as well.
Yeah.
So I think I'd be a Negroni.
Love that.
Love that.
Project, that's a good question. I haven't thought of this. I think it's all about the young people. So I think if you could create something that would make more young people want to enter our industry, be that through education, be it through government, that's what you'd want to do, because the future's with the young people.
Some kind of hospitality school
Yeah.
that gives people
Yeah.
a chance, like you said, I think
Yeah.
that would be incredible. Be a massive change to make. We have some quick fire questions where
A bit more
we
fun.
fire stuff at
Yeah.
you and you come up with the first thing you think of, basically.
Fergus, if you had to live in one hotel suite for a year, where would it be? I mean, I know where mine would be.
The Capella Hotel in Bangkok on the riverside.
Amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, because it's on the river and you see life in that river in
Yeah.
Bangkok. It's fantastic.
What's the strangest request you've ever heard about? Guest request, sorry, not request.
I had somebody that asked me to procure an elephant for him at a wedding.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness
Fair
me.
enough.
Yeah. And it was an outdoor wedding, thankfully.
Okay.
And it wasn't in the UK. It was in
I was going to
Thailand.
say, that's
Yeah.
got to be
He wanted an
overseas
elephant
somewhere.
at his
Yeah.
wedding ceremony.
Wow, that is strange. What hotel detail do guests notice the least but matters the most?
Wi-Fi. You don't see it, but if it doesn't work, you know all about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
I can imagine. If you weren't in hospitality, what career would you have ended up in? I'm going to take out, caveat, no footballer.
No, people. I'd like to have been involved in sport in some way. Yeah. If not playing sport, I'd like to have been involved in the marketing of it,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Nice.
Which city in the world does hotels best?
Tokyo, without a doubt.
It's on my
the
bucket
level of
list.
service, the level of quality, the attention to detail, the love of what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's very impressive.
What's your go-to cocktail?
I've got to say Negroni now, haven't I? I like a gin and tonic. I'm very simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, a proper gin and tonic.
Yeah, lovely.
It's great.
What's one hospitality trend you secretly hope to disappear?
Self-service check-in.
Yeah.
We need human interaction.
Yeah, that's what it's all
you
about.
know? even when I go to British Airways now and I check in, I still like to go to the counter.
Yeah,
I want to talk to somebody.
definitely.
Early check-in or late check-out?
Late checkout.
Interesting, 'cause you're quite an early bird,
I
aren't
am.
you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Beach resort or city hotel?
Beach resort.
Room service or restaurant dining?
Restaurant dining every time.
Minibar raid or hotel bar visit?
Hotel bar visit every time.
So pool day or a spa day?
Pool day.
We have a couple of leadership questions just to kind of wrap things up. How has your leadership style evolved over your career, and what experiences have most shaped you as the leader you are today?
I think my level of patience has changed. Like I said, I think if you ask people here, they'll say I'm not patient. Like we spoke earlier about trying to get to the next thing, trying to solve things too quickly, trying to get an end result, which is not always the right result. And I think I've realized I've talked 3 or 4 times about followers. You need people to follow, but they'll only follow if you're a leader with integrity, that gives trust, that gives empowerment. Yeah, I think that patience element of myself has changed.
Yeah.
Which is vital, because I think when we're younger, we're too impatient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the whole thing in its entirety rather than trying to find that solution straight away.
It feels helpful for me. I'm quite impatient.
You're impatient as well, yeah.
You're
Terrible.
in therapy. Yeah.
Absolutely terrible.
But
Yeah,
people
it's
will
like
still say I'm
therapy.
impatient. I'm still obsessed by detail as well, which has helped me in my career and it's hindered my career because you can be too obsessed. And some things you've just got to let ride.
How do you balance commercial performance with genuinely caring for your team?
We're in business to make money, for sure. But the only way you're going to make money is if you've got a team of people that are providing that level of service and that attention to detail from the guest point of view. That's the only way you can be a commercial success. So I hope I like to treat our staff members, our colleagues, our employees the same as I treat guests. I would hate to think that somebody would say, you were saying what we'd like people to say, I would hate if somebody said he treats our employees different from our guests. I'd like to think we treat our employees the same as our guests. And if you treat your employees the same, you'll get commercial performance.
Yeah. It comes hand in hand.
It comes hand in
yeah.
hand. If you give people that empowerment, we spoke earlier about teaching our staff to say yes, looking for the positives and everything. If you get people that are coming into work to say yes, you'll get a good performance. And if you give a good performance, you'll get better business. And if you get better business, you'll have a better commercial performance. So it's all hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Leading on from what we spoke about briefly earlier about kind of you giving staff members opportunities who might not have necessarily had them in the past, like you mentioned, a staff member who came from Bolton. What do you look for when developing future leaders, and how do you spot potential early on, would you say?
Only attitude,
Okay.
for me. And I interview a lot of people. And I can I've generally made my decision after 1 minute.
Really?
And that's terrible because I need to give, and people do change my opinion through the process of an interview. But after the first minute, I've sort of got it worked out.
Yeah.
And I think most people have, because that first impression makes such a huge difference. And in our guest interactions, it's all about first impressions because you're interacting for the first time.
So within that first minute, if they can catch your attention, the chances
Absolutely.
are with a guest, within that first minute, they'll notice the level of
100%.
service they're getting.
100%. But when I'm interviewing people, I'm no longer interested in their qualifications, which is quite sad. I think that qualification gives you the experience to get on those ladders. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at your experience. I'm looking how long you've been in that job. I'm looking at what you achieved in that job. I'm looking at your promotions in that job. I'm looking at what you're telling me about what you did in that job. And that the attitude is the most important thing. We will train you to be better at things. We will give you skills and expertise. And we have a lot of people that we put on graduate schemes now and internships. We will give you all of that. But if you haven't got the right attitude, then it's wasted.
Yeah.
If you've got the right attitude, we will back you 100% and we'll invest in you 100% if you've got the right attitude. And we employ people purely on attitude.
Yeah.
I know that the Landmark London has been recognised as one of the best places to work. So what do you think kind of helped you to win a huge accolade like that?
I think we'd be very lucky. We entered two competitions that were, so the great companies to work for, we were third, I believe, but we were number one in hospitality. That's across the whole of the UK. And it's an individual business unit at the Landmark Hotel on that occasion. So to get that is great and it gives me a lot of personal satisfaction, but I think it gives us all
Yeah.
a level of satisfaction. Then we entered the Sunday Times great companies to work for, which is a global thing. And we're in the top 100. And we're one of only 2 or 3 hospitality companies in that top 100. I think what we try and do here is we try and catch people doing things right.
Yeah.
And we do things wrong, and we talk about it when we do things wrong. But I think if you've got a culture where you're trying to catch people doing things right,
Yeah.
it's much better than a culture of trying to catch people doing things wrong. And I've worked with people that try and catch people doing things wrong. And it goes back to the very beginning of our interview here, our discussion, when I talked about George Westwell. He only wanted me to go there and catch things that were being done right.
Yeah.
The 5 things in that restaurant. And I'd like to think we try and do that here. We want people to do the right thing, and we want to acknowledge them doing the right thing and reward them for doing the right thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the acknowledgement here, what you kind of, how you recognise your staff, I'm always seeing, which I think is really lovely, and it goes back to that culture thing, on LinkedIn, how you post about and kind of really big different team members
Championing
up. I think,
the team, yeah.
I think it's so important.
100%.
Yeah, I love
mean,
that.
everyone we've dealt with here has been phenomenal.
Yeah. We've got fantastic owners that allow us to be like that. So they're my leaders, and I'm leader, and we're all different levels of leadership. I look to them and how they behave. And I often think to myself, what would my owner want me to do? What would my boss want me to do? What would the person that owns this hotel want me to do?
Yeah.
And I think that's very important when you put that in your mind. And if you're working for people that you've got total respect for, then it's easy to do that. And our owner spoke to me last week and said, listen, last year was a great year. We'd like to give every member of staff a bonus. And I said, listen, that's not necessary. We gave them a pay increase, and we do this and we do this. And he goes, no. We need to share this success. And so he's come to me and he said he wants to give every single employee £500.
Wow.
It's £500 if you've stayed more than 6 months, and £250 if it's the 3 months or something like that.
Amazing.
It's astonishing.
Yeah.
It sets the tone from...
It's a tone that he acknowledges the hard work that everybody's done. And that's not just this hotel, it's the Royal Lancaster and our other businesses in London. He wants me to go to every single employee and give them £500.
Wow.
And he didn't need to do that because nobody's expecting it.
Yeah.
No.
And
I
that's
know
what it makes...
that's not uncommon here either. I think
No.
we've spoken previously. It had little things like that have happened. You really do look after your guests, and it's really lovely to
You might see my CV come across your desk.
Yeah.
But I think if we've got a reputation of being a great place to work, then it makes it easy for us. We've got very few vacancies at the moment. And I know the hotel industry has a lot of vacancies, very few vacancies. And when we're looking for people, we find good people apply to us now.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from
It speaks for
demonstrating
itself. Yeah.
good practices, good leadership, good management, good place to work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. With hospitality, as you know, constantly changing, what leadership skills do you believe will matter most in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think we've got to embrace technology far more. And I think leaders will have to understand technology far more. It's a shame because we're in the people business, but we're talking about technology.
Yeah.
But unless you know how that works, a lot of our business comes through OTA channels now. And a lot of our yield management decisions come from computers and algorithms and things like that. I think the understanding and the embracing of technology will make a big difference. I'm saying I don't want a self-service kiosk to check in, but things will evolve and people will come to expect things. And I think the business leaders that are at the forefront of that will benefit most from it.
This has been amazing. So just one final parting question for you before we let you get on. What is your definition of hospitality, and what do you love the most about the industry?
It's about how you make people feel. As I mentioned before, it's not about anything else. It's about when I come into this hotel and when I leave, how do I feel?
Yeah.
And if you come in feeling miserable and you leave feeling happy, we've done our job. If you come in happy and you leave happy, you've done our job. But if you come in happy and you leave not so happy, we've done something wrong. And we need to be better then. But it's about leaving an impression on somebody.
Yeah.
I brought people here for afternoon tea yesterday, and this morning I've got more sending me WhatsApps about different things about our experience yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was showcasing the hotel, and I wanted them to see the hotel, but they hadn't been in here before. So I gave it my Sunday, but it was fun because it was 7 people that hadn't been here before that had a great afternoon tea experience. And they're talking about the scones and the sandwiches, but most of all, they're talking about the service.
Yeah, brilliant.
They're saying how good your people were all of them actually can back about the service.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing, because everybody makes scones.
Yeah.
And everybody can do great sandwiches.
Yeah.
But they can't create the environment that lets young people, and they were most amazed about how they were so forthcoming in their conversation and their relaxed manner with them. We talk here about relaxed luxury. We want the hotel to be luxurious but relaxed. We don't want it to be stuffy. There's some hotels in London that I can walk into, and I'm an older man with grey hair, and I've been around the industry, and I wear a tie, and there's some doormen that look me up and down, and I don't feel welcome going in there. And I find that astonishing that I would feel like that.
Yeah.
I would like everybody to walk into this hotel and immediately feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Feel part of the
And
place,
feel
yeah.
relaxed. And doesn't matter what you're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter that you don't want to order an expensive bottle of wine. If you want the house wine, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And that's how we want people to feel.
Yeah.
That's amazing. No, honestly, Fergus, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Again, it always is. Thank you
as
so
ever.
much, Fergus.
And I think we got through about an hour there without speaking about Rangers as well. So that is so
Team
achieved.
True yesterday. It's just, oh God. It's in my mind all the time, Glasgow Rangers. We've got to win eventually.
We didn't get it
when
in,
you
so-
started veering off about football at the beginning, I thought,
He's going to talk about Rangers.
mentioned in the middle we'd like to play for Rangers. I thought, I can't tap into that. I've got to stay away.